Thank you for tuning in today for ACF Chef's Table webinar series, All Souls Are Not the Same. For those unfamiliar with the American Culinary Federation, we're the leading organization for culinary professionals offering education, certification, and a community for chefs and food service leaders. If you're not yet a member, today's webinar is a great example of the valuable resources we offer. Today, we'll be joining Chef Lakeisha Harris, Chef Derek Tucker, and Chef Jimmy Hill as they explore the different types of soul food that were developed due to the migration, both north and south, of African people following the transatlantic slave trade. Feel free to ask questions using the Q&A function at any time. Let's get started by sharing where you're tuning in from in the chat function. I'm Chris Tanner, ACF's Executive Director, and I'm excited to be here with you. Let's meet today's presenters. Our first presenter, Lakeisha Harris, who also goes by Chef El Sol, is known for her infectious smile, food collaborations, unique elevation of soul food cuisine, and philanthropic heart. She serves on the advisory board of the Culinary Institute of Michigan, Kids Food Basket, and sponsors a weekly free meal within the Muskegon County Community. She is often known to say, "I love what I do, and I do it with love," which is evident in everything she puts her hands to. If you meet her once, you'll remember her always. For her, it's more than food and finances. It's loving people right where they are and filling every soul with a unique experience that they won't soon forget. Our next presenter, ACF Chef Derek Tucker, found his passion for cooking starting at the age 6 from watching his great-grandfather prepare family meals. After a few years in corporate America, he found himself back in the kitchen and even started his own catering company. During COVID, he decided to rebrand and start Southern Roots, which paid homage to his ancestors from Alabama and Mississippi. Nowadays, you can find him as vice president of the ACF Chefs of Northwest Indiana chapter, working multiple events, in magazines, on TV, hosting a local pop-up with his newly purchased food trailer, or in front of one of his many barbecue smokers. Our final presenter, Chef Jimmy Hill, HAAC, was born in Muskegon Heights, Michigan, where he attended Muskegon Heights High School. After high school, he received his culinary education from Ferris State University in food service management, hotel, motel, restaurant. After 5 years with Denny's Restaurants, he joined the Michigan Department of Corrections as the chef instructor of the Culinary Arts Program. He has now entered into his 40th year with the department and is currently the subject of a feature-length documentary on the highly regarded culinary training program, Cold Water Kitchen, for which he won a James Beard Award. At this time, I'm excited to hand over to Chef Lakeisha and look forward to everything you're going to present to us. Take it away, Chef.
Hey, everybody. It's me. I'm back. It's a family reunion. Missed you all. Haven't seen many of you since Phoenix, but we are back, honey. And we are here to tell you about soul food. As you can see, it's one of the trending topics in the ACF this year. And we are here to be the living, tangible demonstration of soul. So I had the opportunity to write the piece, All Souls Are Not the Same. As I attended this summer's convention, I realized that there were less people in the room presenting that looked like myself. And the question came up, why? Why are we kind of still in a position of being observers versus leaders? And I think it's unintentional, but there is an opportunity within the ACF to present. So out of that, a task force was formed called CORE, Culinary Opulence that represents everyone. And from that, I wrote this piece, All Souls Are Not the Same. Though we share the same hue and various types of melanin, we are not the same. We don't cook the same. All soul food is not the same. My culinary exposure comes from my grandparents being from Alabama, Chef Hill, Mississippi, Chef Tucker, Mississippi. And so those various influences will determine how we present, how we cook, how we taste food, and what seems right to us. Though we all have African roots, we do understand that through the slave trade, some of the Africans went to South America, some of them went to the Caribbean, and some of us landed here in the wonderful United States of America. Therefore, when we were emancipated, we began to migrate north. The majority of people came up to the Midwest, which is where all of us are from. So Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan saw the greatest influx of African people migrating north. They also went to California. Not many went to Maine. Not many went to New Hampshire. Not many went to Montana. So we kind of centralized the Midwest as the new Africa or the new home of the African movement. In 1960s, the late 1960s and 1970s, soul food then becomes a cuisine. It is the cuisine of the freed slave. It is the experience and the expression of our culture through food. And so we've come to do that today. I elected to not cook today because why should I when these two guys are here? So we took one common vehicle, and that was cabbage. And we decided to translate that into what we feel or how we would prepare cabbage. So I said, well, my hair looks really good today, and I was feeling really cute. So I was just like, I'm just going to stay cute, and I'll let the guys do the dirty work. And they were so happy when I told them that about what, an hour ago?
Yeah.
That's what happened. So that being said, we started to prep some of the item, but we all started with bell pepper, onion, and cabbage. And from that is the evolution of what we will present to you today. So first, Chef Hill is going to give us his brain creation of what he is doing, and he is doing a
Cabbage callaloo.
cabbage callaloo, which has some reference to the French part of the culture that married with the Afro-Caribbean part of the culture, and he'll explain that more.
Okay. Good afternoon. So what we have here is basically the callaloo greens from West Africa. It came from there into the Caribbeans in the late 19 or 1600s. And then from there, it came over to what we know as the South Carolinas and in the southern parts. So what we did, or what I did, I substituted the cabbage for the callaloo greens. And the callaloo greens are basically a dark leafy green that kind of represents or looks like collard greens. So usually over here, we use collard greens for that. But today I just took the cabbage and substituted for the callaloo greens / collard greens. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what we got. Here's my cabbage. I'm going to take this cabbage here. Like this here. This sauce here, it has thyme, red pepper flakes, garlic, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and also chopped tomato, a little bit of red onion, and some thyme just to remind us that there's thyme in this dish here. Usually there's peppers like red Scotch or habaneros or Scotch bonnets. So just because that redness is not there, I'm going to take some of this diced red pepper just to put some in there, kind of wake it up some. And then for a little bit more color, brightness, we're going to put some of this yellow in there. So basically, this here is done.
And Chef Hill, why does that speak to you? What about that transports you to your childhood or how you grew up eating soul food.
Well, in my household, there was only 3 of us, and we had multiple gardens. So there's a lot of vegetables available. And one of the staples all the time was cabbage and collard greens. But we also had, the mustard greens and turnip greens. But the cabbage and the collard greens were used the most. It was a healthy way to eat, even though we didn't know we was eating healthy, because we had always fried chicken with it, or fried pork chops. But because it's fried, some people think that it's not healthy. Soul food is actually from the heart. And so we look forward to all those fried proteins to round off that meal, because the vegetables was always available. And some of our biting into a piece of fried chicken.
Absolutely.
Makes it worthwhile.
And that is really the marriage of African cuisine, thus bringing us into the States, because a lot of people do not know that when the Africans came to the Americas, we did not eat meat. Most of the Africans that came to the United States are from the West Coast of Africa. We were not meat eaters, but being on the plantation, working out in the plantations, there was a need for protein. And this is how we got the discarded parts of animals, the pig feet, the pig ears, the noses, the chicken feet. And we began to make meals out of that because we needed the protein to have the energy to work in the fields. So we married our African culture, where collard greens and those things come from, yams, okra, watermelon. We brought all of that over from Africa, and then had the evolution of the thought of the food and married that with American culture. And so now you see a lot of, there's meat in almost every African-American meal or Afro meal because of that exposure to it and our hard work ethic, okay? So,
can I ask a quick question?
sure.
Chef Hill, there was a question on how the process for actually making the cabbage itself. It was braised, right? What was the process?
Yes, yes, chef. I braised it in a little bit of vegetable stock, chicken stock. Usually there's brown sugar involved. That helps kind of like caramelize it. So I replaced that today with some balsamic vinegar. That helped in the color, and to add a little bit of acidity to it, which kind of cuts down, foils some of the other flavors. So it wouldn't be so strong with the red peppers. But usually, yeah, it's braised. I decided to go with the wedge because of the way it looks. And also, once I braised it, covered it, that helped it cook a little faster. And so now we're to the point to where all we need is a fork.
One of the person who asked the question said they love the plating of the cabbage and they appreciate answering it. They want to take a bite of the cabbage. Said it looks great.
Yes, sir. I plan on buying it for them.
Well, what about me? So now I need cabbage. I never got fried chicken from Lakeisha last year either. So now I'm not getting cabbage or fried chicken. So we're in whatever Derek's got. I'm out here.
We're going to fix that for you. But this is the best part of what Chef Hill is saying, and what we all want you to know is that we are just now experiencing where soul food is considered a gourmet or elevated cuisine. Initially, people would see our food, that it was fried, that it was smothered, that it was covered, that it had gravy and all of these sauces, and think, oh, this is so unhealthy. Not so. True, authentic soul food is healthy. It's not. We do a lot of vegetables. Now, I will admit, we cook every vitamin out of that pot of cabbage or greens. There is no traditional nutritional value thereafter, but authentically, there's always a vegetable, a starch, and a meat with every meal. And I don't know about you, my mom always had a dessert on the table as well.
Always.
So here in Michigan, blueberries, apples, cherries, we see a lot of that. And so if your influence for soul food comes from Mississippi, like Chef Hill and Chef Tucker, you'll see a lot of use of peppers, spices. Alabama is where everything is covered and smothered in something. If it's sweet, it's smothered in syrup, or honey, or some brown sugar sauce. If it's Savory, lots of gravies, a white gravy, a brown gravy, a chicken gravy. If you're from Georgia, right, and the culinary influence comes from there, that's where you see the incorporation of a lot of fruit and nuts, peach cobblers, pecan pies, and all of that. So all of these trends are married together now and presented in a gourmet form where we can see our food presented in such a manner that it becomes more approachable for people to see it with a gourmet eye. So next we're going to go to Chef Tucker, who is going to do a chicken dish for us.
Yeah.
And we are going to feature here Chef Gaston Meredith's barbecue sauce, who is also a member of the ACF. So we're going to feature his barbecue sauce that he sent to me, but I'm going to share with the fellas, with Chef Tucker's barbecue chicken dish. So let's go.
Correct. Correct. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to have you all out here with us. And it's my turn. So I went a little bit different than what Chef Hill did. I actually have the pork. I have the bacon fat that I actually ended up doing a hash that has your potatoes in it. It's got 3 different peppers. It's got bacon, of course, the bacon fat, and of course, it's going to have our red onion in it, just to give it a little bit of color. We are using a roasted rotisserie chicken, and we're going to use the leg and the thighs. The reason why is because these are what was given to us. We weren't allowed to get the breasts and the wings and everything. They really wanted us to have the legs and the thighs. So we're going to do them right. And with the way I used my cabbages, I actually made a kind of tangy vinegar sauce to go on top of this to cut all of the unctuousness in the fat. So I'm going to get to it.
So you have chicken broth.
Yep, a little bit of chicken broth. I just want that to get going. And then I'm gonna get this barbecue sauce. And I am a father, of course. And my daughter, she's probably gonna kill me when she hears it, but I am one of those people where I'm coming home from work. First thing she wants to know, Dad, what's for dinner? Andy, I don't know. Well, can you figure it out? Okay, yes, I'll figure it out. Yes, ma'am. She's only 9, but she runs the household. So what we're doing today is, like I said, I have a base that's going to have a potato, bacon, pepper hash with onions. That's going to be on the bottom. Then I'm going to top it with these rotisserie chicken thighs that I'm going to add a little bit of barbecue sauce with. Get it nice and coated. And I love this sauce. I'm going to get that nice and coated and get it up to heat. And then I'm going to plate it with the slaw. You all can smell this stuff in here. Absolutely ridiculous, right? Smells like, give me some. He already called his piece of chicken. Okay. We have more.
I want the thigh in the leg. I want the breast.
See, and this is why she's not cooking today.
I'm the boo.
Because she gets to do what she wants.
Yeah, no, I want wings, leg, thigh. I have to eat breast because it's healthy, but that's no, leg and thigh.
But it's more flavor. You know, it's more flavor in meats.
Who told you that?
You know, Chef Lakeisha, before we started this, we used to be the best of friends.
Can I ask you another question? Can I ask you another question from the audience?
Yeah, what was that?
For those of us not familiar with the cuisine, what's the difference between soul food and Creole food? And so,
That's a great question.
so here's when it'll kick in here. There's Creole food and there's Creole food too. So but you all, and I think I understand what Creole food is and not the stuff that's in New Orleans. So throw that out there.
Creole, Cajun, and comfort are not soul food. So the influence for the Creole cuisine comes more from the French, right? That experience of those slaves that were colonized by the French is not the same as the slaves that were colonized by the English or the Europeans. So it's a totally different method of preparing the meals, totally different types of peppers, seasonings that are used that lean more towards the French cuisine. It's not soul food. However, it does have the same Afro roots. So it's just the same vehicle in a different translation of it. Chef Hill, you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I see you down here looking.
No, ma'am, you're doing just fine.
So, you know, it's almost, if you're not familiar with the cuisine, you're not familiar with the culture, They are not one and the same. Some people say, oh, soul food is comfort food. It is not. Soul food evolves from taking what's given to you and making a meal from it. It's not really a food. It is a mindset. It is a feeling. It is a sensation. And that being said, it's not even a technique. It really is taking what's given to you and making the most of it. And that's what differentiates soul food from the other derivatives like Creole, Cajun, Comfort, Afro-Caribbean, Jamaican. They're not one and the same. All souls are not the same. Oh, that looks good. I might eat a thing today.
No,
I can get that.
nope. Not at all. I'm going to cut that fat. I have this slaw. It's a good one. So, and there you go.
And there you go. You see how beautiful this is? I wish you could smell it.
It's
It's absolutely
amazing.
amazing. So, since this is a soul food demo, I'm going to do authentically what would have been done after the masters and or slave owners would have eaten. We're going to take everything that's left and make a meal from it. I'm going to let these gentlemen talk while I put in some elbow grease. Is that fair enough?
Yep.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
So there's dish one. Do we have any questions right now?
I've got a few questions. So one is, when it comes to making soul food, what's the biggest piece of advice you'd share with another chef?
Take your time with it. Take your time with it. Make it with love. To me personally, I feel that soul food can't be rushed. I know growing up with my granddaddy and my nana, it was a 2-day process, and you weren't eating until after church. So don't think of going in there to grab anything. So to me, it's just the love. Take your time with it, because that's the one ingredient you can't buy into the store, which is going to be the love.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. You know, if you treat the food right, whatever the ingredients is, if you treat it right, you know, you'll get the right results. You have to respect the ingredients. Just like you know, a poor choice of a vegetable. If you buy, you know, stuff that is past due dates and, you know, look wrinkled, you will get that same type of energy when you prepare it. You want that vibrant, quality, high quality. All ingredients should be high quality because if you're a chef, you put your name on it. So you want it to look and taste amazing. So yeah, always make sure you pick good quality food, ingredients, and just take your time. Don't rush it.
My advice would be to throw away your measuring spoon. Use your heart, use your creativity, use your intellect. Soul food is a feeling. You can feel when it's right. You can smell it. And so you tap into all of your senses when you are making soul food. I have no recipe right now. I'm going based upon what I see. I'm taking the remnants of his chicken. I'm going to take the remnants of Chef Hill's peppers, onions, and tomato. Incorporate that with my chicken. Notice, it doesn't take me all day to prepare a meal because we did not have a lot of time. I'm going to take the slaw and I'm going to mix this all together. Because we're making barbecue chicken cabbage. I know you never heard of it because I just made it up right now. But I promise it's going to taste good.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah.
And actually, your pizza, I know you said to throw away all your measurements, but from what I learned in Phoenix, that technically a taint is a measurement.
A taint is a measurement. Now you're preaching right there. There's a little bit of preaching that goes along with soul food cooking. You got to have, a taint is a measurement. If your grandma says, you say, Grandma, how much of this should I put in that? She's going to say, that's a taint. A taint could be a cup, a tablespoon, a teaspoon, 2 cups. You have to figure out what grandma meant. So here, I've taken the remnants of his slaw, chicken, potatoes, Chef Hill's vegetables, And cabbage will release its own liquid, so you don't have to add a lot. I'm gonna add a little bit of chicken broth to that. How much chicken broth did I just add? A touch. That's it, that's all. So now, I'm gonna simmer that down. I'm gonna call this a barbecue stir-fry cabbage. That sound fair?
Well, someone just said you need to wrap that in an egg roll wrapper.
Definitely.
And an egg roll. He just said the same thing. Or hey, if we want to tap into Latino American fusion, we can put this inside of a tortilla also.
You want to answer?
Because
You guys
from
want to
those
answer?
cultures-
Go ahead, sorry.
No, from those cultures, we have all these derivatives of our culture. So Puerto Rican cuisine is a marriage of Latino and African cultures. You know, so we can take this now. We can call it an Asian fusion dish. But when they say Seoul, Korea, they don't mean S-O-U-L, you know what I mean? But there's a little Asian fusion as well. So there, I've done that. I am gonna take that and plate it, because this is true, authentic soul food. You take what you're giving and you make a meal from it. I think.
Or you even take what you have in the refrigerator and you can make a meal of it. You can be very creative if you just put your mind to it. And a few pantry staples we have our potatoes, we have our onions, of course, different peppers and everything. Those are things that I know I use pretty much on a daily basis that I pretty much always have. So you can always make something from nothing else.
And when we say that we put our foot into the food, we don't necessarily put our foot into the food, but that means that we're putting our all into every dish. If you go to an African-American family and you eat at their table and you ask for salt and pepper, that's a little bit of an insult. If you're not sleepy after you eat our meal, that's a little bit of an insult, because it feels more than just the body, it feels the soul. I'm gonna take some of this bacon because why not? I'm gonna chop some of this bacon on top. Again, taking what you're given and making a meal of it. So I'm gonna put some bacon on there. Here in the center, some carrot. Purple slaw. And since my cultural roots come from Alabama, we gotta put some more sauce on it. So. Oh.
We are getting a lot of questions for you guys. Can I ask you a few?
Yeah.
Let's go.
This is we don't usually get this many questions, so this is definitely a topic that's exciting for the members. So I love it. So, are you familiar with any desserts that fall into soulful desserts?
Yes.
We just talked about
So coincidentally, and this is gonna sound absolutely crazy, but they thought that limes were bad lemons. So key lime pie lends to the African-American culture. Banana pudding, when the bananas would turn brown, we would get those brown bananas. Banana pudding was based out of a custard base, and then we would add those brown bananas to that. The meringue comes from the French culture, thus the marrying of the two concepts. A real banana pudding is made with a custard and a meringue. Soul food. Now listen, we're gonna claim German chocolate cake, but it's not.
No,
It's not really soul food, but we want to claim it because we think that we've perfected the German chocolate recipe.
and I'm German, and we will not claim German chocolate cake as German either. So it's
So we'll take German chocolate cake.
pound cakes,
Pound cakes.
Sweet potato pie.
yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
red velvet.
Red velvet.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. How can we forget it?
Red velvet. The Mississippi mud pies. Egg custard. All of the custard bake. A buttermilk pie. Like buttermilk is the milk that nobody wants. It's it's not fermented, but the sour. Yeah. So they didn't want the buttermilk, so they gave us buttermilk, thus buttermilk pie, thus egg custard pies, you know, because you just get eggs and sugar and a little bit of lemon. But key lime, banana pudding, peach cobbler. Peach cobbler, it can't, we did that first.
Hey, banana pudding's one of my all-time favorites, so.
Banana,
7-Up cake.
7-Up, yeah.
7-Up cake.
Well, actually, I was gonna say root beer cake, which it was 7-Up cake. They're all kind of the same thing. Absolutely, those two. We make
You've
root beer.
ever heard of a mayonnaise cake?
Oh, yeah.
A mayonnaise cake comes from the African American culture, and it's just a chocolate cake, but we didn't get the eggs, so we used mayonnaise to make our cake moist.
Yeah, I've got a couple different types of questions here. So
Okay.
I'm an instructor that teaches a very diverse student population. I do teach a lot of African American students. As 3 African American chefs that are not only involved with the ACF, but also are certified with the ACF, what are some of your inspirations to do so?
Some of the inspirations to
Do what you do with the ACF.
you guys want to start? You want me to start?
But you can start. Never-
I think that the ACS has limitless possibilities. It is the only organization where I feel my voice is heard. I am not classically trained like these 2 chefs. My grandmother taught me how to cook. And I think that I am fortified and strong enough to stand with any chef that is classically trained in the cuisine. The ACF still genuinely sees me as valuable, sees my input as valuable, and is willing to talk about the uncomfortable parts of being an African-American chef. And so I pledge my allegiance so much so to the organization because it is the first time as a non-classically trained chef that my voice has been heard or considered equal to those who have the classical training.
I mean, that's how I feel too. And I know after getting back into it and becoming the vice president, actually on the 2nd term with the ACF Chefs of Northwest Indiana, we do so many different things. And for younger chefs that are coming up to see people that look like their friends or family or even look like them, that's been a huge thing. And I know with some of my students, before I got there, they never would have thought that they would have been able to be on a big stage or be able to do this or do that, or even get out of my hometown of Gary, Indiana. And that's what we're doing. We're showing people that you can do it. Just put your work in, put your heart in, and network. That's probably one of the biggest things and probably the biggest tool and that I've received from the ACF is the networking opportunities. We've done so much.
It's definitely a networking tool because you're with convention-wise, you're with anywhere from 400 to 1,000 chefs. And what better place to be when you're trying to obtain knowledge about your craft when you can talk to all these different attendees. And so networking is one of the big things. Get a chance to get with your friends that you don't see but once, maybe twice a year. And you catch up like, you're never to the point to where you feel like it's not worth it, because once you see your chef from Indiana or New it's the peppers from the New Orleans. You just pick it right up and you look around and it's like you were never apart. So food, I always say that it's the ultimate dot connector.
Yeah,
it connects everything.
I just sent the invite out to all of you to as I mentioned earlier, to all of you about the National Restaurant Association show, and I refer to it as our mini family reunion. And I always talk about the National Convention as a family reunion, and I say the same thing when we all get together to NRA show to work on things like that. It's a mini family reunion for us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Can I ask one more question,
Yeah, sure.
or do you want to keep going?
We're open for questions.
Okay. So this is very pertinent to all 3 of you, obviously, because of the core that you were just talking about, Lakeisha. You're all part of the newly formed core program task force, which now we're calling it course, but core has become much more broader for the ACF. So your committee has gone so much further than just affecting its own section of the ACF, which I love that. Why do you think this particular task force is important, and what are some of the goals you're hoping to accomplish through it?
I think the largest goal is to have that conversation of why we're in the room and what our place is in the room. If we were to be totally transparent, if you look at the modernized kitchen, A lot of the assistant chefs, sous chefs, prep cooks are of African American or Latino descent. A lot of the executive leadership does not reflect that. And so personally, when I went to Phoenix this past summer and presented on soul food, the question that I received from 95% of the African American chefs that were in that room was, how did this happen for you? They never let us present. They never allow us to talk. They never have brought this to the forefront. And simply my answer was, I asked. And I think that we've been timid in our approach to saying that, hey, there's a place for me in the culinary world. And when I look at Gordon Ramsay, I don't see myself. When I look at Giada De Laurentiis, though I love her, and Bobby Flay, I don't see myself. I want to see myself authentically represented in the room, not watered down, not changed or changing the way that my method of delivery is to be accepted. This is who I am. This is how I am. And I think that the newly formed core task gives a voice to our pain, but also gives a voice to our liberation. We are no longer an enslaved people. We deserve a place in the forefront. And the only way to bring others who share our hue, Black and brown chefs equally, Latino as well as those of African descent, is for them to see us in the forefront. And so I'm excited about what this means for those who will come and say, I feel like I can be part of the ACF now because I see someone that looks like me. I see a Black woman. I see a Latino woman. I see someone from Mexico. I see someone from the Caribbean that is presenting on a platform that I thought I could never reach.
She summed it up.
That's some passion there too. I love it.
Inclusion is the biggest thing. And like I said, to be able to see somebody that looks like us, and we're not the ones that are in the back, we're the ones in the forefront. And we're talking, we're doing stuff like this. You know, this is huge, and this is only the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Chef Hill, what are your thoughts?
I think that this is truly a good thing. Once you connect, again, connecting the dots, you're connecting the brown and the Black and, you know, Hispanic, Native Americans, those people who are usually in the back. Is some tremendous food and flavors going on in all of those different cultures. But a lot of times it goes unnoticed. And so we feel like it is our duty to bring this to the forefront, to let people know that, you know, soul food is not, you know, it's not taboo. It's a viable cuisine. And when you do it right, the results are amazing. So,
you know, most people don't understand culturally what some of these things mean to us. When you go out to eat and you have a steak that is rare or medium rare, or how we see it on television, blood on a plate represents something different to the African American culture. It's a cultural thing. A lot of us who have roots in Christianity and what that translates to for us. So when I've always been the type that when someone says, oh, you don't have if you have your steak over medium, then who told you that I have to have blood running on my plate? Because I'm not going to eat that. I want my steak medium well. I don't want to see the pink. There's a reason that I feel that way. There's a reason that I lend. Now, though I understand the value in both, it's about preference, right? So do I have to sit at a table where there's a rare steak being served to me, a tartare, and I know I'm allowed to eat this, right? Because of what it means to me. And so my question has always been, who told you that was right? Who told you this is the only way you can make a bread? Who told you that this is the only way that you can make pastry layers? Who said that this is the only way that you can cook fish, you know, with the head on? I don't want to see the fish's eyeballs when I'm eating it, but that's just me. I'm a little different. But that being said, my question has always been, who told you that was right? Because that's not what is correct for me And so can I show you my way and see somewhere, we can meet somewhere in the middle. You try it my way, I try it your way, and we get an appreciation for one another.
I got a shout out here from some students that, hello from Impactful Bites, Compton, California. We're watching with their entire class. This is great.
Yay, hey, Compton.
And then I got another, hello, chefs, first, thank you. I'm an Atlanta ACF member. Are you taking on any new mentees through CORE?
All the time.
This is the person that keeps me in line, and that's pretty hard to do, trust you me. So you get me, you get him, but mentorship opportunities, as I stated last year, for me, they're always available. I was blessed and fortunate enough to open the first African-American owned soul food restaurant in downtown Muskegon. It's never happened in the city that I live in. And so cultural cuisine, access to what I do, how I do it, I remain true authentically to our culture. So mentorship and sharing that is really huge for me. And you don't have to be African-American or of African descent to be mentored. I want to challenge, send me someone from another country that has no connective roots to what I do and the ability to share that influence. I'm always taking people, especially free volunteers.
Stop, what's happening, Stop?
Yeah.
But I didn't learn in the classroom. My grandmother picked me up and sat me on the counter. And she said, here's the top to a mason jar. This is how you cut biscuits. This is how you make your own syrup. I was 4 years old. This is how you can and preserve. And then we would take that into her basement. And that was how we used the fruits that were only, being Northerners, there's only some fruits and vegetables that are available in the summer. How we could have those again in the winter months when we could not harvest those vegetables and fruits. And so I believe that hands-on touch, that being immersed in the culture and being next, with the chef is the best way to learn. I've learned more by actual physical contact than I could ever in a book or a recipe book or on television.
Which I think it's a lot of us chefs, a lot of us are really hands-on. We need to be hands-on. We joked about it, but the funny thing is when we came in here, I was gonna be cooking a completely different dish. But you pivot, you think about it, you bounce ideas off of each other. You see, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And when you have a whole network of people that you can do that to, I mean, like I said, the possibilities are limitless.
We got another shout out. Hello from Los Angeles Trade Tech. We have 35 students watching live.
Hey guys. Hey Los Angeles.
So it's interesting. You just mentioned the comment on the cookbooks, because obviously there are some soul food cookbooks that are out there. If anyone doesn't have someone local to them to be a mentor, would you suggest a book that maybe they would be able to search out to or look to get some guidance on?
Yes. We had them at the convention, what was it, 2 years ago, Northern Soul?
Yeah, that's out of Minnesota.
Yeah, he's out of Minnesota. Diary of a Young Black Chef. That's the chef out of New York. There's a few different things. Yeah, Kwame. Yeah.
I'm watching.
Snoop Dogg has a new cookbook called From Crook to Cook, and actually that's some good stuff in there too. So if you're in California, you want to pay homage to Snoop, I'm just being honest. From Crook to Cook is pretty impressive. I think Martha Stewart really wrote it, and
I was just gonna say that maybe.
Yeah, I try to mind my business a little bit.
We could put together a little list and get it out to all the members that are on here too. And then obviously get some contact information. So if they want to reach out to the three of you for some mentorship, if you're good with that.
Definitely.
All right, I've got two more questions that keep coming back up again. So if you were to represent soul food in an international competition, which three dishes would best represent it?
Ooh,
That's a good
answer. I always have an answer. Collard greens, fried chicken, and cornbread.
Well, hey, hold on one second. There's the follow-up question to that, and I want to hear from the other two guys too. Buttermilk or no buttermilk in your fried chicken?
No buttermilk.
No buttermilk.
Yeah, I'm gonna go no buttermilk. It can be an off-putting flavor.
It makes it, I think it makes it darker.
Yeah.
Because, of the acidity and milk and.
Yeah.
So All right,
That's us.
So there is a replacement for buttermilk to get you the perfect color, the perfect texture and consistency. Lean in, I'm telling you, put your ear up to the phone. Yellow mustard.
Yeah.
Yellow mustard makes everything better and you won't even taste it.
Yeah.
Replace your buttermilk recipe with yellow mustard. After you get the recipe of the year, send me my 50%. After you give the Lord his 10%, okay? Because I gave that to you. Yellow mustard replaces the buttermilk.
Now, if you don't, some people don't like mustard because of the twanginess. But you can replace that mustard with turmeric, which is what makes mustard that color. And so you get that same hue,
Yeah.
that color in that chicken that the mustard would have gave you, except there is, it's just the powdered form of the turmeric that gives mustard the color.
Yeah, I'll use mustard on the outside of when I do barbecue pork shoulder as well.
Yep.
Before I put the pork rub on.
Yeah.
The barbecue rub.
And it's a good binder to make the flour adhere to the protein source that you're using. So I use it on pork chops. I would use it on chicken, not so much on fish. But yeah, it's a great binder as well to make the coating or whatever breading you're using stick to the protein that you're cooking.
I've
So
got
you
one.
say your
Go ahead.
Your dish.
three dishes that would be represent soul food.
Oh, yeah.
Man, for sure. Dressing.
Oh,
Dressing.
Now, for Thanksgiving, a lot of people have dressing on our side of the track, which is the soul food African American side of the track. On the other side, it's stovetop stuffing. There's a difference between stuffing and dressing.
Yes.
So, and we'll get into that a little bit later on this summer. But yeah, dressing for sure. There's a lot of different types of macaroni and cheese. Some use 1 or 2 cheeses, some use 4 or 5. So that is definitely one. Dressing, macaroni and cheese, and and black-eyed peas.
Oh, black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
love black eyed peas for sure. And then for me, you guys know I'm loving my smoked meats. So we have to go with a smoked rib for sure. We also have to go with, I had some amazing fried catfish last night. Oh my gosh.
It was big.
Yeah, amazing fried catfish last night from from somebody up here restaurant. Super good though. Like you'll be sleepy when you leave for sure. And let's see, last one to represent. You know what? Nobody really did dessert, so I gotta say a good peach cobbler.
You guys are killing me. It's like all the food I
2
want.
crusts though.
Yeah.
One on the bottom, one on the top too. Don't just give me 1 crust, or we're gonna have a problem.
Also, to alternate some proteins there. I mean, we do fried chicken, we do barbecue ribs, but you got to put you got to throw in some oxtails in there.
Oh yeah.
Oxtails are amazing.
Oxtails, for sure.
Yeah, it's a braised food, and it can only get better as it cooks longer.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's like your power.
It's interesting all the ingredients that we're giving to the African culture that actually are so much better than all the other things that were probably being eaten by everybody else. So the ingenuity that went behind that and the culture that's behind it to me is so imperatively important to our history. But, and that's one of the reasons why to me it was important to have this sort of thing. And as I've seen the soul food trend kind of growing here, I think it's just something that's embraced fully. It's truly part of American cuisine. People often talk about that we don't have an American cuisine. They say that, oh, it's McDonald's or all these corporate food cultures. But at the end of the day, you meant Chef Derek, you mentioned barbecue. That's it's a little bit of German as well, but it's mostly African culture. It's mostly black and brown culture that come from barbecue. That's truly an American part of cuisine, but soul food as itself, which is even regional, I would say, in the United States now, because depending on wherever you live, is a truly part of the American cuisine now. So I think it's really an important part of our culture now.
I'll say this. We gave you guys mac and cheese. You're
Oh,
welcome.
yes. Yes, of course you did.
It wasn't Kraft, but that's what I'm saying.
I will say I cheat a little bit because my food science background, I do use mostly cheese, but I'll have Velveeta in there instead. I don't use a bechamel because it always breaks.
Exactly. Exactly.
I learned I grew up with government cheese, to be honest with you, and that was what we used originally, and they don't have it anymore. So now you got Velveeta.
You're
Right.
You get the creaminess from the Velveeta.
Yeah.
And government cheese tastes better than Velveeta on any day. Government
Of
peanut
course.
butter.
There's more milk. There's actually milk in it. Got another question in here. What is dirty rice and rice dressing? It's always a debate here in Louisiana, and so is stuffing and dressing.
Ooh.
What makes dirty rice is the chopped up minced. You can use gizzards, you can use livers. That's the dirtiness of the rice. It's basically just a rice. It just has those proteins, offals, chopped up offals. And then,
Specifically from chicken too, right?
yes,
And the debate here is, it says, so I guess there's rice dressing as well. What do you think the difference is?
You know,
Do you think it's just the offal, or do you think it's anything else?
So rice dressing is more of the ground beef, the sausages. It's like dressing is the clean version of dirty rice.
so,
It's the bougie version of dirty rice. Dirty rice is just that, those gizzards, those, parts that are not the most popular. Rice dressing
But tastes so much better.
concept, but it's not prepared the same as well. So I've seen a dirty rice kind of prepared more stovetop. Rice dressing is kind of like combined together, and I've seen it cooked in the oven with like a cream base, like a cream of mushroom base, and those things are incorporated. You don't have that in dirty rice.
I've got a rice dressing recipe that I use, and it's basically day before cooked rice, white rice and wild rice. Cook the day before. The next day, in your pan, it's just like Chinese fried rice.
Fried rice.
It's the rice before, day before. But in there, I add chopped green onions and white onions and mushrooms and pistachios and thyme and chicken stock or vegetable stock. And you cook this together, and there's shredded carrot in there, and it's an amazing flavor. When I do some catering, a lot of people ask for that rice dressing. And it's not the same as a dressing like what we said earlier.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of different components put together. And the rice is separate, because it's cooked the day before, so it keeps separate the kernels, and so it's really good. It's a lot of flavor to it also.
I personally love it. I spent some time down in Lafayette, Louisiana, and the fact that you get your meat, your three, plus you're still getting rice dressing on no matter what, was okay with me. So I have no problem with either.
It's interesting you say Lafayette, Louisiana, Chef, because it says the person who asked the question said, I grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana. They fuss about it
Yeah,
a lot.
love Lafayette.
I own
Okay.
property under the Shriners Hospital in Lafayette, Louisiana, so.
So they said the
Lafayette.
presentation was excellent. They love the passion. It's great discussion. Thank you. And they said here they say the complete opposite usually. Thanks for sharing the knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Another question says, why do they call oxtail when there's no oxes in America?
Yeah, that's on a lot of comic skits also.
Yeah. Marketing
People eat oxtails and there's no ox. Well, I guess you could call that cow tail because it's just the tail of the beef. But it's an amazing flavor. You braise it, and you add your usually Caribbean flavors, and it comes out just it's mouth watering. It is.
And it's expensive.
It is.
It is. It's gone expensive.
Real quick about something that we say is here, but it's not really here. We don't have yams over here. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
Yeah.
Yams are not here. What you're eating is sweet potatoes, okay? You're eating sweet potatoes.
Let me correct. You can get yams, but you got to order them special, or
Right.
they're at Whole Foods.
Right.
And they're purple and white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That was awesome, chefs. Thank you. That was the last question. So, chefs, you want to take it away, wrap it up, and then I have some closing things. But truly, this was exciting. This is one of my favorites that we've ever had. As I've been here a year and a half doing the webinars now, and we had over 80 people on this session. So that doesn't include the rooms that are full of students. So it's not just 80; it's multiple
Right.
students. So you should be proud of that. But
That's great.
leave it to you to close up, and then I got a few closing remarks afterwards.
We just want to invite you all to continue the exploration of soul food, the cuisine, the culture, and we have an opportunity this year in Las Vegas to present. The three of us will be presenting in Vegas, a live demo. We also have a general assembly this year, which is huge for us, where in which the Black and Brown chefs will be on a panel to discuss with you our truth, to have a very candid conversation on what it means to be a Black and a Brown chef in this industry, in the ACF. I want to encourage you that there is a place for you. There is a path that's being walked out for you. There are tears that have been cried to provide a way for you. And so what we've suffered is for you to excel. So we want you to tell someone else that, hey, if you're a Black and a Brown chef and you see that executive chef in you, you see that leader in you, you see that restaurateur in you, through the ACF, there is a path that's being forged out, and we invite you to follow that path.
Chefs, thank you. I think in addition to that, Lakeisha, and you and I have shared, not only do I want to see it come from this task force, but I'd love to see you more get into the other committees, other task forces, and in particular to our leadership of the ACF as a whole. So I thank the three of you for really taking the time to do this. It's truly an exciting opportunity to hear about soul food for our members. And I think you're not only were inspiring to the members, but all the students, I think even more so I'm excited about. So thank you.
Thank you, Chef, for having us.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Please be please be on the lookout for the survey you'll all receive in the next couple of days, which you'll need to complete to earn your continuing education hours, chefs. We hope you'll join us for our next webinar on March 12th as Stephanie Swain presents on ACF's March Trend Pizza. Additionally, on March 13th, Kevin Walker, CMC AAC, will be hosting an in-depth webinar on the new Certified Master Chef exam. Make sure you're there. To learn more about the upcoming webinars, visit acfchefs.org and click on the events tab. On behalf of the ACF National Office, thank you again to our presenters and my friends for bringing us this opportunity, and thank you for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef, guys.